Hello Stitchers, it is Stacy of Stacy Creates Stuff, and I am back with another Flosstube episode. Today I have one finish, and I'm going to show you my work in progress. Yes, that was singular. Let's start with the finish. Then we'll talk about that other thing. I finished my Easter egg in time for this year's Easter. We'll see if I make it a FFO though. We'll see. I'm really pleased at how I turned out. It is something that I designed based on some motifs from, I think it was the 16th or 17th century. I'm going to have to go back and look. I saved notes, but not nearby. I think I'm going to turn it into a shaped pillow. So I'm going to be working on that in this coming week. And next time I have a floss tube, I will show you the final finished object, I hope. And of course, then after that, I need to finish writing up the chart and instructions and all that good stuff. This is stitched on 28 count linen. It was my first time working with linen, and I used Weeks Dye Works color Sky. So a little story about that. The Weeks Dye Works that I had two skeins, and in my stash from, more than a decade ago. It was purchased when I had my shop, my quilting shop, and we were using it for various things. And Weeks Dye Works was a new company, and there's floss at that time wasn't color fast. So that's what I was working with. Well, I got down to about maybe halfway and realized I was not going to be able to finish it with what I had left. I definitely needed another skein. So small panic number one, do they still make that color? Yes, they do. Phew. So I went to my local needle workshop and found the color. And of course it was close, but it was a little bit different. So, still not a panic. My years of knitting came to me, and I realized that all I really needed to do was to sometimes use the new strands from the new skein and then intersperse them with strands from the older skein. And I did, and it worked great. And I was using the loop method to start. So I started with one single long piece and would fold it, and that worked out great. Which I have a question for all of you stitchers who have been stitching for a long time. Even though I have been stitching for a long time, I've taken a long hiatus and I'm just getting back into it. And they didn't really have fancy floss when I was stitching more regularly. So in doing this method, am I kind of defeating the beauty of hand-dyed and fancy flosses because in folding them, I'm losing that color variation because it's, sometimes it'll be a light spot mixed with a dark spot. You can maybe kind of see that there are a little bit of variations. It's a little tiny bit darker here than it is there. But I'm wondering if I've kind of missed out by using that method, that I would be better to just pull two strands so that the lighter areas of the two strands are together and then the darker areas. I don't know. If you have an answer to that question, please leave it in the comments below. I would greatly appreciate it. But anyway, I'm really pleased how it turned out. I'm glad that my first linen project was essentially a single color because I just kept going. It was really great. I probably am going to stitch this again on a smaller count linen and maybe do it in various shades so that there would be some variety. And since, Easter's next week and this pattern is not going to be released before then, I feel like I'm not in a huge rush before I get the pattern out there. It did end up finishing about 6 inches by 8 inches, which is, I don't know, maybe on the large size. I don't know. Anyway, I really like it. And I'm very excited to play around with some of these old pattern motifs from, a few centuries ago. So that's my one and only finished project, or finish. It's not really a finished project yet, but it is a finished stitch. And so now I'm going to show you my work in progress, my WIP. And yes, that is singular. In every other craft that I have ever done, I start more things than I finish, for one, and I usually have multiple things going on. But for some reason, I seem to just keep finishing the stitching before I start the next one. We'll see. I don't know that I'm going to stay a monogamous stitcher. I certainly have a ton of things that I want to start. And of course, I have that 30 plus year old work in progress. I'll pull that out. I did show it in my very first Flosstube. That is the Castle Sampler by Teresa Wentzler. It's beautiful. I love it. I started it in 1992. Yeah. In working with the linen and some of the other things that I've been doing, I have found that I like stitching in hand. So I'm going to probably take this off the frame, and I think it will go a little bit faster. I just really haven't been in the mood, though, to work on that. So, and it has some issues. You want to know all about that? Check out my very first Flosstube. All right. Here we go with the work in progress. I really thought I'd be a little further along, although I'm happy with how much I do have stitched, because I went away for a few days this past week, and I thought, oh, that's great. I'll have some time in the evenings. I'll sit and I'll stitch a little bit, or maybe in the morning. I forgot my project bag. Yes, I was so sad. Thankfully, I did have another project with me, quilting related, and I was able to work on that. So not a complete deviation from, daily stitching of some sort, but I was really a little sad that I didn't have my cross stitch with me. I did have my magnifier and lamp, just not the cross stitch. Anyhow, as soon as I got back, though, pulled that puppy out and started stitching again. This is what I am working on. It is Follow Your Heart by Tiny Modernist. And I love this piece so much. I love the typewriter. I love the bright colors. Having said that, I changed almost all the colors and the background fabric. So I am stitching this on 32 count linen. It is color Water Lily. And I'm obviously working on the typewriter itself. And I am using, I'll show you all my color palette in just a moment, but I am stitching it on one thread over two. Yes, that's what I'm doing. One thread over two, in part because when I started with the 2 threads over 2, I was stitching with the white or white-ish color, the color I'm using for the paper, which I know is a little potentially hard to see. That's better. And I was having a really hard time. This was smaller count than the Easter egg. And even with the magnifying glass and the good light, I was having issues. So I decided to see what it would look like with just one thread over 2. And it's fine. Is it the best? Do I kind of wish I was doing 2? Yes. Am I going to rip out all that I've done so far? No. And part of the problem was probably that I started with the white, and then on this water lily kind of green color, it was hard to see. Like, there's more contrast probably on camera now than there seems to be when I'm looking at it in person. But that's okay. It's still going to be fine. It's going to be lovely. I'm going to love it and frame it and put it in my office. So here are the colors. Spread them out a little bit. And I went with my sort of signature pink colors. These are the shades of pink that I typically use in my artwork and in my logo and all of that. I think the blues I used are the same blues that she calls for. I did change the greens, I changed the grays, I changed the white to a different shade, and then I needed to find golds that worked with all of these, and I'm really happy with it. So I'm looking forward to continuing. I don't think it'll take too much longer. The part that I'm working on here, the typewriter, is almost a full coverage area. And then up above are the flowers. I'll show you it here. And I think those will go relatively quickly. So I'm moving along pretty well on the typewriter. I'm almost down to this space bar down here. And then I have this part to go. There has been a lot of frogging. But it's okay. It was all doable. I had this side piece in pink and it was off by 1 stitch. So ripped all that out. It's fine. I'm getting very good at frogging now. And that's good, right? We'll see. So, I don't know. I have a bunch of other things that I want to start. A couple of things that I have designed, and I am anxious to get them started. Maybe I'm a little hesitant as well. One I'm still working on the chart for, but the other, the chart is done. Just need to start stitching it. So maybe next time I will have started that before I have finished the Follow Your Heart. We'll see. In stitching and getting back into stitching, I have realized a couple of things. And one is that I love my needle book. I have needle minders, and by stitching in hand, I don't like that extra weight that's on the fabric. That when I do embroidery in a hoop, you know, it's fine. I have some really strong needle minders, which have worked out great for hand quilting because they're strong enough to go through the 2 layers of fabric plus the batting. So yay for that. But for these cross-stitch projects, I have been using this little needle book that I made. And I made it with multiple pages because I was going to keep all of my different sewing needles in here, and that was going to be great. I bought some snaps. I haven't attached those yet. But I realized that for cross-stitching, I don't really need all these little pages, and I'm going to make myself some additional needle books with less pages and possibly make a housewife, or I think it's also pronounced a couple of other different ways, but it's essentially a roll that has a place for needles and thread and scissors and all that good stuff. I love my project bag that I made a few weeks ago. I'm going to make myself some more. And as a matter of fact, let me reach over here. I got some fabric off of Spoonflower. This is fabric that I designed. This is I can't remember what I called them, but this one has ribbons. This one is going to be probably for the binding. So imagine that. Kind of peeking through like that. This will probably be for the lining, perhaps. We'll see. And I definitely want to make myself a new project bag or 2. I think I have a yard of each of those. So, and you know, plenty of fabric to make more. So we will see about that. That is also on my list of things to work on in the next few weeks. So that is it for my cross-stitch adventures of the week. I'm pretty excited to keep stitching. I try to stitch every day, and in between quilting and making project bags and needle minders or needle books and all that good stuff. So if you want to see any tutorials on how I do that, I'm still kind of working out the best project bag for me. I have a few ideas. So once I get that far, I will show you. And if that's something you want a tutorial on, just let me know in the comments below. If you are liking all things fiber arts related, please consider subscribing to my channel. like this video, and check out my other videos here on my channel. I also do quilting, and I keep saying, but eventually, really and truly, I'm going to do some knitting. There are already some embroidery tutorials on my channel as well. So if you are new here, welcome. And if you are returning, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that you are taking time out of your day to come back to see what I have to say. Until next time, I'm Stacy of Stacy Creates Stuff. Bye.